Good evening and welcome back to the Rory Talks Arsenal YouTube channel. Welcome back to the Arsenal newsroom live on a Monday. It is the international break, but we're going to try and keep the content going. Unfortunately, I'm not on holiday for this international break. I hope you're all doing well. Arsenal top of the league. Hopefully, we stay there for the rest of the season. That would be quite ideal. Loads of you in the chat already. Jesus Christ. Just looking at the chat. Apologies for being a couple of minutes late. I was just making a TikTok about the end of football as we know it. If you've just seen the breaking news, Villarreal versus Barcelona to be played in Miami. A La Liga game to be played in Miami. UEFA have approved it. Como versus AC Milan to be played in Perth, Australia. I think it's an absolute disgrace. UEFA have said it's not the plan for that to be a thing moving forwards. They don't want it to be, and it's regrettable that it's happened. But they said the framework isn't in place for them to say no yet. So I think this is a thing where basically if they had said no and Serie A and La Liga had gone the legal route, UEFA would have lost the legal battle. So they've had to accept it. But I think it's a disgrace. Not only do I think it's an absolute disgrace for fans who won't get to go and watch the game, but Barcelona, so that game is meant to be played at Villarreal, right? It's Villarreal versus Barcelona. Barcelona now get to play an away game at a neutral ground. That is fundamentally unfair if you're Real Madrid. You're saying, well, how come we don't get to have one of our away games at a neutral ground? So I think it's all a load of absolute nonsense, and the game has gone. But that's why I'm late. Anyway, we're going to talk about Odegaard's injury worries today. We're going to talk about whether or not Rice should be going on the international break. Gyokeres not scoring goals, but he is contributing. What is our best midfield? We'll get stuck into that. And of course, at the end, we'll have a little quiz question. Lukey G has been a member for 15 months. Absolute legend, Lukey. I said this in the comments of the last stream, but a full-time job in America sucks. Can't catch a stream. Anyway, hit the like button. Lukey, I appreciate it. You have been an incredible supporter of the channel and on Twitch as well. And I mean, congratulations on having a full-time job. But it is a shame that you don't get to join us as much anymore. And as he says, please do click the like button. Click subscribe if you've not done already. We are on the way to 25,000 subscribers. And if you're watching on the replay and you can do the hype thing in the comments, I would be grateful. Loads of other people here. Emily, yo. Nid is here with the Goon Platoon. Lee, Mead, good to see you as well. Owen's here. Brandy, Simon, good to see you. Lots of you in here. We love to see it. What is impressing you the most with the side this season? I would say the thing that's impressing me most, just defensively, I think the way that we're controlling games, the lack of chances that we're conceding, that, you know, we're 10 games into the season and we've conceded 1 goal from open play, and that was Haaland. Like, it is impressive. Obviously, there are other parts of our game that I think have improved this season. I think we are creating more chances. But yeah, in terms of like the most impressive thing, our defense is just an absolute joke. Like an absolute. And what's more impressive is the fact that it's not been the most stable defense this season anyway. Like, we're doing this with, you know, having had Mosquera come in at centre-back. You've done it with Calafiori or Miles Lewis-Skelly. I think it's been impressive. How good is Haaland? Yeah, Haaland's a joke of a player. Like, Haaland is an absolute freak of nature in the best way possible. Like, yesterday, City didn't really create that many chances against Brentford. And even the goal that Haaland scores, no one creates a chance for him. You know, people keep talking about Arsenal need to create more chances for Victor Gyokeres, and we do. But yesterday, Haaland just turns a nothing opportunity into a goal. And people say, oh, why isn't Victor Gyokeres doing that? Victor Gyokeres isn't as good as Erling Haaland. Like, if you hold Gyokeres to Haaland standards this season, you are going to be underwhelmed and disappointed because he is not as good. No one is as good as Erling Haaland, in my opinion. Harry Kane is close at the moment, but no Ben White call-up. I'm not surprised. He's not been playing much. Like, he's not played much. He's not been in the England squad for the best part of 2 years. It doesn't surprise me at all that he's not there. Should Victor slim down? Well, I think he is. I mean, I think the whole him being overweight thing's nonsense anyway, but I think physically he is getting better. He doesn't look gassed at the end of games anymore, which is good. Julian Alvarez is up there as well, yeah, for sure. Who do you prefer to start, White or Timber? Timber for me. Timber. is the best defensive fullback in the world, in my opinion. And I normally reserve myself from saying in the world. Defensively, I genuinely believe he is. If you were to say what could he add to his game, it was always what can he add going forwards, right? And that was where I always compared him and Ben White. Okay, defensively, I prefer Jurrien Timber, but Ben White offers so much on the overlap. He offers so much going forwards that it makes it a competition. Right now, Timber is improving rapidly in an offensive way. We saw it against West Ham. If he adds that to his game, on top of what he does defensively, unbelievable. Unbelievable player. Mendes, I don't think Mendes is that good defensively. He's rapid, right? Which obviously massively helps. I think Jurrien Timber is better, personally. But then what Mendes offers going forwards is unbelievable. So, needs to work on his shot placement. Yeah, for sure. But in fairness, Ben White, when it came to shooting opportunities, was never that good. Like, obviously, he had that crazy goal against Chelsea that was an accident. Scored a couple of good goals, but I think about the opportunity he had against Bayern. Remember early on at home against Bayern in the quarterfinal. They can't have it all. They can't have it all. Mendes is good defensively, but Timber's better. Yeah, that's my opinion. That was what I would say for sure. That's what I would say on that. Let's get into some things though. So, Odegaard's injury. Now, we found out yesterday, obviously, Arsenal, it was interesting, right? Because Arsenal released a medical update statement, which they don't often do unless it's a big injury. We don't normally see them. I think that was because of the Norway situation. So we don't actually know how bad this injury is for Martin Odegaard. But if Arsenal have effectively ruled Martin Odegaard out of going on international duty, where one of the two games that Norway play in this break, the first game against Israel, is huge for their World Cup qualifying hopes, you've got to give a bloody good reason. So I think that's why the statement came out, the MCL injury. It's almost certainly not a grade 3. The fact that he was able to play on, he thought he could carry on, means it's probably not a grade 3. Grade 3 would have been like what you saw with Livramento. So it's probably a grade 1 or a grade 2. Now, the low end of a grade 1 is literally like a week or two. The high end of a grade 2 can be up to 6 weeks. So we're looking at minimum a week or two, maximum 6 weeks probably for Odegaard. Obviously, ideally, you want it to be at the lower end of that. The fact that he thought he could carry on, hopefully it will be. And I don't think that's too bad. Ian, thank you very, very much for becoming a member of the channel. I massively appreciate that. As always, all of the membership money goes back into the channel, helps me continue doing this. So I really am grateful for that. Absolute legend. But the thing that's come out of this Odegaard injury is some nonsense, to be honest with you. Stuff about how now he's injury prone, he's made of fiberglass, we can't rely on him. I saw someone put a screenshot of the tackle that he made on Twitter and was like slamming him for making the tackle. They were like, oh, I can't believe that what was he even trying to do? What was he even thinking making that tackle? It's like, hang on a minute. He hangs his leg out knowing full well he's probably going to take a whack from it, but it stops a dangerous attack. If Somerville runs past him, West Ham are on a dangerous attack. So he effectively sacrifices himself a little bit. Now, obviously, probably doesn't think he's going to do his MCL, but what do you want him to do? Just let him run past you. It was unfortunate. It was knee on knee, and that's what it is. But the thing is, the 3 injuries that he's had this season, they've all been contact injuries. They've all been heavy contact injuries that are just part of the game, and it's just incredibly unlucky that it's happened in 3 consecutive Premier League starts. The 2 shoulder injuries. He said himself, he's never had that injury before in his life. And suddenly he gets it twice in the space of 2 starts. It's just bad luck. The good thing is, we now have the depth that it doesn't derail a game and it's not derailing our season. We're going to talk later about what our best midfield is. I'd actually argue when Zubimendi came on, it restored a bit of balance in that midfield. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. People asking when Hincapie is back after the international break. Mikel Arteta said The game against West Ham came a little bit too soon, but he should be back after the international break. Josh, you don't need to spam questions when you're asking them. If everyone spammed it like that, I wouldn't be able to read anything, so please don't spam. What do you think of Arteta starting Trossard? I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Like, in these games, I don't even mind Trossard's performances at the moment, to be honest with you. I've always maintained I prefer him coming off the bench. I think that's where he makes the biggest impact. But his performances have been fine, you know? There were moments in that game against West Ham, lovely little ball over to Declan Rice that we probably should have scored from that opportunity. Yeah, I think, and now that he's been given this freedom where he doesn't have to play a touchline winger role, I don't have an issue with it. I think at full strength, and again, we'll talk about it in a little bit, I still think Eze or possibly even Madueke would be out on the left. But yeah, I don't mind it at all. I don't mind it at all. Martinelli has taken Trossard's goal mojo. Yeah, I mean, look, this is the depth we've got, right? You can have Martinelli coming off the bench scoring goals. It's all good. But on Odegaard, I would just say, give him a bit of slack. Like, I just don't understand people. It's like, it's just a weird thing. And it's online, right? It's online. If I deleted Twitter, I would literally see, like, none of this, basically. But it's like there's just a willingness of our own fans to want to have a go at a player. Like, those injuries are just unlucky and unavoidable. The only way he avoids the injury he got at the weekend is by not trying to make the tackle. So, yeah, I think, look, hopefully he comes back straight after the international break. That would be ideal. If not, we have the tools. We have the tools in place to remedy it, so it's okay. I've done a grade 2 MCL right now. Damn. Jakob, I hope that heals up quickly. I would assume Martin Odegaard probably has better physios than you do, but hopefully that heals up quickly. Max, good to see you back in the chat. You'll love to see it. What do you want him to do? Refuse the injury? Not how it works, unfortunately. Exactly. Gyokeres gets triple marked, which frees up space for our wingers. Yeah, we're going to talk about Victor Gyokeres because obviously that is a topic of conversation that people are having. Sticking with the injury theme, Declan Rice is going on the international break. He has joined up with England. Obviously, he went off holding his back against West Ham. It did sound like that was just like again, physical contact, like a knee to the back or a kick to the back. I'm not really sure when it happened. Clearly, it is seemingly nothing. It's not significant if he's joined up with England. What I would say, though, is this another not opportunity? Is this another circumstance or occasion where we should be being a little bit cuter, where we should be being, just a little bit more savvy and just pull him out of the international break? And I know it's easy to say, pull a player out of the international break. There is still a World Cup qualifier. It is away against Latvia. Do you need Declan Rice to win against Latvia? Probably not. The other game is a friendly. But I look at what Chelsea have done, right? Reece James pulled out of the international break. Now, is he actually injured? He showed a picture on his Instagram, I think, of a big cut on his leg, right? He's cut his shin. Not the sort of injury that stops you playing at all. But unless he's got another injury we don't know about, they've used that to pull him out of the international break. Nico O'Reilly's been called up because they'll be looking at it. And I have no issue with Chelsea doing this. They'll be looking at it going, I think they've got 5 or 6 centre-backs out injured now. We cannot afford to lose Reece James to injury on the international break, so we pull him. Rodri yesterday. I mean, Rodri went down, comes off with a hamstring injury, but then he did an interview after the game where it sounds like he thinks it's basically nothing. Like, he said he won't go on the international break, but he thinks he'll be back after it. Again, being cute with it. Is that something we should do with Declan Rice? Based on the fact that he did literally come off with an injury. Like, this wasn't like you had to make something up. He came off against West Ham with an injury. We could have gone, look, he's got a sore lower back. He's managing the pain. Could do with a couple of weeks off. I don't know. I feel like we should be. But we never are. We never do it when other teams do, which is frustrating. And if one of them gets injured on the international break, you'll be looking back at it, which I just pray they don't. I pray we can have an international break with no injuries. Calafiori, get through it, please. the Spanish boys, the Brazilians. Get through it. Play Marino at the 10. Who says no? As a 10? I don't think he's got the speed on the ball to be a 10 in terms of receiving it, turning, getting rid of it. I don't think he does that quick enough to be a 10, to be honest with you. Curtis, not a huge amount. We spoke about Odegaard's injury and why it's not his fault. And just talking about Declan Rice there as well. I was joking. I'm glad to hear it. Rice doesn't have the same injury history like James yet. Overplay him, he might end up with it. Don't like Saka going away with England either, to be honest. I'm hoping Jarrod Bowen's going to play ahead of him, to be honest with you. Thomas Tuchel actually said something, and it got taken completely out of context, but Thomas Tuchel basically said, if Madueke had been fit, Saka probably wouldn't have been called up. And people took that as it got reported stupidly, deliberately to get clicks, but people took that as meaning Thomas Tuchel saying that Madueke is ahead of Saka in the pecking order. It wasn't. Thomas Tuchel was saying Saka has only just come back from a big injury. Then he's had another injury. He's not had a huge amount of game time. I don't need to call him up. So I'm hoping the fact that that was already his opinion means that he won't play Saka much anyway. Same with Eze. Same with Rice. Miles Lewis-Skelly, I don't mind Miles Lewis-Skelly playing a fair bit because he actually probably needs game time to keep himself ticking over. So that would be fine by me. Do you think Nwaneri should play more games? Sure. I think Miles Lewis-Skelly should play more games. I think Norgard should play more games. I think Mosquera should play more games. I think Martinelli should play more games. Like, we're at this point. Everyone that isn't playing has an argument. Maybe not Norgard, but like, these players have an argument for playing, but equally, there are players ahead of them that I don't want dropped, you know? Like Miles Lewis-Skelly. Every time he comes on, every time he starts, he looks great. Calafiori looks unbelievable. You know, and Calafiori for a game like that against West Ham in terms of forcing issues, right? Doing something different, popping up in attacking midfield with a half volley. You know, there was one point on the right-hand side where he tries to dribble past three players and get into the box, and he very nearly pulls it off. It's difficult. It's difficult, I think. That's true, but a lot of them shouldn't be dropped for Mourinho, in my opinion. But again, I mean, a lot of people were saying that when Mourinho came on against Newcastle, right? And then he scores a goal. So it is difficult. It is difficult. Would love to see Yildiz or Semenyo at left wing next year. Yeah, I'll tell you what, Semenyo looks unbelievable. Semenyo has leveled up. Semenyo's gone up another level this season. And you do think, like, our left wing spot is still the one spot where I say we're not 100% locked in on someone for the left wing that you're like, week in, week out, I want to see them there. If Semenyo came in, that would pretty much complete the squad. I don't think I've ever cared less about potential signings. I love our squad. Yeah, but look, me neither. I'm not anticipating that we sign Yildiz or Semenyo. I'm not. We've spent a huge amount of money. But they would be fantastic. Semenyo, the Arsenal fan. Look, if we ever do go for him, it'll make life easier knowing that he is a big Arsenal fan. I was one of them. Mourinho's definitely a clutch player, but not my favourite midfield. No, and that's fair. That's fair, right? And Nwaneri gets you off your seat. And this is the thing, right? Nwaneri gets you off your seat. Nwaneri is exciting to watch. Does Nwaneri do enough of the off-the-ball defensive work? I'm not convinced just yet. Does he win duels in the way that Mourinho does? No. Aerially, can you go long to him? Not particularly. Does he have those big clutch moments? Possibly. I think it's difficult. I think it's difficult. But look, we're not the ones that make the decisions. You know, Arteta's there to make the decisions, and they're difficult decisions to make. You know, one difficult decision that he had to make at the weekend, right? Odegaard goes down injured. Do you replace him with Nwaneri or Zubimendi? Like for like, you're looking more at Nwaneri, right? But he goes, no, I'm going to bring on Zubimendi. Because actually, the balance of the midfield hasn't looked great in the opening half an hour. And bringing on Zubimendi was absolutely the right call. Because the midfield after that, I thought looked more balanced. I thought it looked more fluid. I thought allowing Rice to bomb forward was beneficial. You've still got the creativity of Eze. But these are the tough calls, right? And if we end up drawing that game 0-0, which I don't think was ever going to happen, but if we did, if he brings on Zubimendi and then we draw the game 0-0, a lot of people will be looking back at it going, shouldn't have brought on Zubimendi, should have brought on Waneri. But look, I'm sure he'll get decisions right and he'll get decisions wrong. It is what it is. Victor Gyokeres, not scoring goals. Are you worried? Some people are worried. Some people aren't worried. I'm somewhere in the middle. How much would Semenyo cost? The way he's playing this season, every time he plays is going up by about 5 million. It probably about 60 mil. I've seen some people saying like 90 million. He's just not a 90 million pound player. And Bournemouth wouldn't be able to demand 90 million for him. But no, I'd say about 60 million for Semenyo would be reasonable. What Jakob said? What did Jakob said? I also hate when fans think they know more than the coach. Listen, we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. What game was it this season where he brought on Trossard and I couldn't believe he'd brought on Trossard? Was it Trossard he brought on? I think it was the game against Bilbao when he brought on Trossard and I couldn't believe it, and then we won the game. So I understand it. Guarantee if Odegaard doesn't get injured in the games he has, I'm confident that Waneri would have come on and finished the game. Yeah, very possibly. It's very possible that the way that game would have gone, and maybe in Arteta's head, the way he wanted it to go, was we take a comfortable lead, and when we're 2-0 up, he brings on Zubimendi for Rice, and he brings on Waneri for Odegaard. Very, very possible that would have been the plan. So, and I do think Waneri's probably been on the unlucky side of that a couple of times already this season, in terms of games not fully being dead so that he doesn't get brought on. But he's going to get plenty of opportunities. He's 18 years old, you know. There's no rush. There is no rush. Odegaard looks so much better when he comes deep to collect the ball. The closest we get, we're going to talk about Victor Gyokeres now, so this feeds into it well. The closest Gyokeres gets to big chances so far is when Odegaard's on the pitch. Odegaard is the one that's dropping deep and trying to find those runs in behind. And that's what I like. And that's what I'm hoping we get to see more of. Because I do. I think Odegaard's the one that's... And it's been intentional as well. You can tell, compared to Odegaard in previous seasons, he's getting the ball, and it's almost like first thought is, can I set Gyokeres away? And I like that, and it's good. But in terms of Gyokeres not scoring goals, look, I think his performances have been good. I think what he's doing in terms of occupying the centre-backs is really important. People will say all of these things that Gyokeres is being praised for now, and Arteta himself has praised Gyokeres heavily for them. People will say Havertz does that as well. And he does, right? All of the off-the-ball stuff, all of the running, the pressing. Kai Havertz does that as well. One difference, I think, between Havertz and Victor Gyokeres is defences are generally quite happy, or not happy, comfortable to leave one centre-back on Kai Havertz. We see it a lot. They are happy to leave one centre-back on Kai Havertz, and they free up the other centre-back. They're not happy to leave one centre-back on Victor Gyokeres, and we saw that against West Ham. He was occupying both centre-backs, and that is creating spaces and opportunities that result in goals. Two examples, right? He keeps the centre-backs narrower. This is the biggest thing. I wish I had the pictures on screen. I should have prepared it better, but he keeps the centre-backs narrower. And if you look at where our chances were coming from, in the game against West Ham, it was in the channel between, most of the time, the left centre-back and the left-back. Between Kilman or Mavropanos, whichever was the left centre-back, and Diouf. That was where we fed in Eze for the first goal. Eze gets slipped in through that gap. That was where we fed in Saka, who squared it when Eze missed that big opportunity. That was where Jurriën Timber was stood when he received the ball and won the penalty. And that is down to the fact that Gyokeres' presence alone is taking up two centre-backs. That is important, right? All of the running he does, it's good, it's great. We've seen that before from Havertz. Havertz will do that. Where I want to see more from Gyokeres is there have been a couple of opportunities where I'm like, in the summer, I was telling you that's where Gyokeres scores goals. So Saturday, the example of that was Declan Rice squaring it, Brilliant ball from Declan Rice with his left foot, by the way. Very similarly to how Eze did when Gyokeres scored against Nottingham Forest. And he wasn't quite there. And he hesitated. I've watched it back. The run that he makes into the box, Gyokeres is ahead of the centre-back the whole time, and he hesitates. A split-second hesitation. That's the difference between him scoring and not scoring. And I think that is down to, in a large part, he is having to concentrate so much more at Arsenal than he had to do at Sporting. And he is having to run so much more at Arsenal than he did at Sporting. And I think people talk about adapting to the league and adapting to the country or whatever. I think he's adapting to Mikel Arteta. And I think it's a difficult thing to adapt to. And I think it's where Kai Havertz went under the radar or underappreciated in terms of what he was offering for Arteta. But I think that will continue to develop. And I think that side of his game is good already, which is promising. So now, as that becomes more habitual for him and he's just used to doing it, he doesn't have to think about it as much, his body physically gets used to doing all of the running, I think we'll then start seeing the goal-scoring instincts come back in. I do also think there are some opportunities where, like, he's making the right run. So, like, Declan Rice's goal, right? Gyokeres makes the right run for if Eze squares it, but Eze shoots. And it's Rice on the secondary run, following it in, that gets the tap in. Well, that space isn't there if Gyokeres was stood there, but he's made the first run. So, yeah, I generally speaking, I'm not concerned about Gyokeres. I do think, and if you were watching the content throughout the summer, you'd have known I said it, I think Havertz would have been playing a lot this season. I didn't think Gyokeres would come in and just immediately take the starting spot and start every game. And he's doing a huge amount of running. He's played a huge amount of minutes. He's done a huge amount of running. You know, you look at this week just gone by. 6 days, away at Newcastle, home against Olympiacos, home against West Ham. It's draining. Like, physically, it's draining. So, yeah, overall, I'm impressed with him. The goals will come. And people talking about the penalty, right? And, we should have given him the penalty rather than Saka to give Gyokeres the confidence boost. I don't think he's the sort of person that would have wanted it. I don't think Victor Gyokeres is the sort of person that would have wanted you to give him a pity penalty. He'll want to score a goal off his own back, and I think he will. TSTV, thank you very, very much for the 199. He didn't score in his first 10 games for Coventry. Well, there you go. You know, I'm happy. I'm happy, and I think he'll be fine. And I think when he's rotating with Kai Havertz and he's fresher, that'll make him more of a handful as well. Imagine, we've not seen this yet, really. Imagine Kai Havertz runs the defense ragged for the first 70 minutes, right? His constant running, you know it's difficult to deal with. Imagine two centre-backs have dealt with that for 70 minutes and then a fresh Victor Gyokeres comes on. That's a whole nother thing as well. So, yeah. How many goals do you think Havertz would have at this point in the season if it was Gyokeres who was the injured one? Probably a similar amount, to be honest. Probably a similar amount. Because the way that we're creating chances, I mean, we're still only 9th in the league for chances created, for XG created from open play. So we're still not creating quite enough from open play. But yeah, I think he'd probably be on a similar number, if I'm honest with you. We're also acting like he hasn't scored at all. Yeah, I think only Ekitike has come in and scored more goals than him so far in terms of strikers that are new to the league. Isak's played 7 games, got 1 goal. So, yeah, I think people are being a little bit overly critical of him. And we're top of the league. We're top of the league. When you're top of the league, you get to just turn around and say, back off. You know? Rudy, thank you very, very much for the 199. Just says, hope you're having a good day, Rory. I'm having a fantastic day, Rudy. Thank you very much. I hope you're having a wonderful day as well. And thank you very, very much for the 199. It's very kind of you. Vultamada. Yeah, Vultamada's on 3 as well, right? I think, is he on 3 or is he on 4? Maybe he's on 4. No, he's on 3 as well. Yeah, he's on 3 as well. Be honest, Rice or Caicedo? Some spammer asked, but a good question. Do you know what I think is the honest answer to this? If you want a solo 6, Moises Caicedo. If you want an 8, Declan Rice. If you had them in the same team, you probably have the best midfield in the league. I think the way people try way too hard to say one of them is a better midfielder. What's a midfielder? Eze's a midfielder this season, right? Are you comparing Eze to Caicedo? No, be stupid. Declan Rice in the 8 is where I think he's at his best. I think the criticism of Declan Rice in terms of receiving the ball off the defenders and moving it forwards, I think the criticism went too far. I think people spoke unfairly about it. However, it's not the best part of Declan Rice's game. What is a very good part of Declan Rice's game is carrying the ball forward, is making runs off the ball going forwards, is winning the ball back high up the pitch. All of those things that he gets to do as an 8. And in that situation, if you try to get Caicedo to do the same thing, Declan Rice is better. So, yeah, it's a very difficult argument to have. And for me, you know, with what Zubamendi's offering as the 6, I'm happy seeing Rice as the 8. Could you see Havertz and Gyokeres starting together? Yeah, I actually could. I actually could see it. And I think Gyokeres would thrive from... Imagine we go long to Kai Havertz, right? Kai Havertz is 6'4". He wins headers a lot. Imagine we go long to Kai Havertz and you drag one centre-back with him, right? Argument's sake, let's say we're against West Ham, right? We go long to Kai Havertz. Mavropanos goes with him. Gyokeres makes the run in behind Havertz, anticipating the flick on. It's a 1v1 between Gyokeres and Kilman at that point. I think it is something that could work. The only difficulty I see with it is, what position is Kai Havertz playing? Like, what, in that instance, it's great. But what is Kai Havertz playing off the left? Do we play Kai Havertz off the left, but let him have that kind of free role that Trossard's had? Could that work? Maybe. Like a sort of inside, what are people calling it? A wing forward or whatever it is? A wing fielder? Wing, whatever the fuck. But that, it could work. It could work. And I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I still think Mikel is aiming to change formation to a 4-2-3-1 with a proper 10 and a roaming 8. I agree. Even if you look at the way that we started, Odegaard was dropping deep and Eze was still picking up central positions. I think he wants Eze to be able to be central, or Odegaard, whichever one it is. Kai as the second striker? Yeah, kind of. Could you play a midfield of Rice? Yeah, but the problem is then Rice becomes the 6 again. Could you play a midfield of Zubamendi, Kai Havertz, Odegaard? Or Zubamendi, Kai Havertz, Eze? That's actually perfectly taken me on to the next point I was going to talk about. What is our best midfield? Because I actually don't know. I don't know what our best midfield is right now. Because a lot of people, when we saw the team news come out and it was Rice, Odegaard, Eze, a lot of people have been asking for that. I don't think it looked as good. Now, on one hand, you say, okay, but Odegaard got injured after what, like 20-something minutes? Played on for a little bit, went off after 30 minutes. Did we see enough of that midfield? It was the first time they've ever played together to judge it. Maybe not. But I didn't think it looked as balanced. I think Zubamendi, Rice, and then one of Eze and Odegaard is our best midfield. I think Zubamendi and Rice are definitely in our best, most balanced midfield. Zubamendi is the 6, Rice is the 8, but really a bit of a double pivot. Eze or Odegaard. And I don't know. And I don't care that I don't know. I'm not even going to sit here and give you an answer. I think part of it depends on the game and the state of the game. I think Eze is a more direct threat. You know, you can thread a ball into Eze, he'll get a shot off. Odegaard, I think, is a better chance creator. What do you want? What's preferable? Maybe it depends on the game. And this is the biggest thing that I'm happy with this season. I genuinely don't think we have a best 11. I don't think we have an 11 that all the Arsenal fan base go, that's the best 11. And we've seen that for 3 years, right? Whether it was, going back to 22-23, right? We knew our best 11 from scratch. We knew it. It was Ramsdale, it was White, Saliba, Gabriel Zinchenko, Partey, Odegaard, Xhaka, Saka, Jesus, Martinelli. That was it. If fit and available, that was the best 11. And we've kind of always had that since then. Now I don't think we do. Now I think there are certain games that will suit certain players better than others. And I think that's a really good problem to have. I think it's a great problem to have. In fact, it's not even a problem. It's not a problem. It's a great thing to have because it makes you so much more difficult to prepare for. Like, what did West Ham prepare for in the week? West Ham had a full week to prepare for Arsenal, and ultimately they offered absolutely nothing against us. Like, genuinely, I was speaking to a couple of West Ham fans on the way home. They were like, we could have played for the next month and we wouldn't have scored a goal, right? What were they preparing for? Were they preparing for an Odegaard Eze Rice midfield? Were they preparing for Trossard at left wing? It's difficult. And that's to our benefit. I still can't believe we have Eze. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of Eze. Our best midfield depends on the opposition. Against low blocks, it would be Zubi, Rice, Odegaard. Against mid blocks, it would be Rice, Eze, Odegaard. And against teams that press us, it would be Zubi, Rice, Eze. I don't disagree. I still think against mid blocks, it could still be Zubi, Rice, Odegaard, or Eze. I still think Zubi Rice is our best midfield against pretty much any team because Zubimendi can take out a mid block quite comfortably. And you look at some of the balls that he played in. I got low and mid the wrong way around. Yeah, but even against maybe a low block as Odegaard is better. Possibly. You've got more creativity as a... Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. Champions League final, who's starting, Gyokeres or Havertz? I'll tell you once we get to the Champions League final. There's a lot of football to be played between now and then. Maybe Havertz comes back and it ends up working out that Havertz is better. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that right now. The good thing is that we have both Havertz and Gyokeres after all. We don't have to choose. Well, yeah, once Havertz is back. Havertz is probably going to be back after the November international break. But again, like you say, it's a great problem to have. I think we need a prospect goalkeeper for the future. Tommy Setford. That is literally Tommy Setford. I know you made a video on how to get tickets on the exchange, but how do you actually get tickets on the exchange? I hope you are good. Lucas, what was not in the video that you needed? Because it literally is the video. I will tell you, what you need is the patience of a saint. That is what you need. And a lot of free time, basically. I will say, though, the game of the weekend, I wasn't able to use the exchange. Shout out Matt, who was in the chat on Friday night and sorted me out with a ticket. Shout out Matt. I don't think he's here now, but he hooked me up. What an absolute legend. James Porter as well. Yeah, we've got more. We've got young goalkeepers coming out of our ears. We've still got Nygaard as well. So we got no problems on that front. I say Zubi, Rice, Odegaard for mid blocks because I'd have Eze on the left. Yeah, me too. Me too. How much of your free time is spent on the exchange? You don't want to know. You don't want to know. But genuinely, there have been games where in the week I've probably spent 12, 14, 16 hours on the exchange throughout the week to try and get a ticket. Not so much anymore, because if I get really bored of it, I'll just normally put out a tweet being a little beg. But yeah, it's long. I've sat there for an hour and not had one ticket come up. To be fair, what? Yeah, but Lucas, what game are you trying to get tickets for right now? I wouldn't be trying to get a ticket right now. What game are you even trying to get tickets for, Lucas? Hi, Rory. A bit off topic, but I seen you went to Jazz Aqua Viva in Egypt in 2022. I'm going there next month. Can you tell me what it is like? It's great, Brandon. That is off topic. Great hotel, though. Thoroughly recommend. You've got the beach, the snorkeling. Well, the snorkeling the final time I went, everything seemed to have died. But before that was really good. They've got a water park. I just like playing water polo, so I'm just playing water polo twice a day. It's hot, sunny. Yeah. Not much else to say, to be honest. I mean, it's a fairly standard hotel. Can't wait to go. Yeah, I'm jealous. I loved your tweet about tourists and non-members and the atmosphere. I live in Scotland. If I could go to the Emirates even for a League Cup game, I wouldn't stop singing for 90 minutes. Exactly. People blame tourists and non-members. By the way, actually, I was talking to Harry Simu today, And he said something that was actually bang on. There's no such thing as a tourist fan. You're either a tourist or you're a fan. Because if you're a fan, doesn't matter where you're from or what you're doing. You're a fan. If you're a tourist, you're not there as a fan. And that's the difference. But people say that any fan that they see, and by the way, there's undertones to it, right? No one would look at me and go, oh, he's a tourist. So, yeah. It's water polo, not helping the Tory accusations. Nah, Ross, you've got to understand. It's not water polo as in, it's just they set up goals at either end of the pool and you're just, it's not like proper water polo. Isn't it? Is water polo Tory? I thought, what's the one with the horses? Just polo. Anyway. Harry X Rory show coming soon. I mean, who knows? Maybe one day. No, this was for TalkSport. By the way, I may as well plug that. On the TalkSport channel at some point this evening, me and Harry and Rom went through the West Ham game. So if you want to check that out, that would be cool. Water polo is defo not Tory. Yes, very Tory. Water polo is not the same as Tory horse polo. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But also, hotel water polo is not the same as like water polo where you can't touch the floor. This is where the water's waist high and it's basically football in a swimming pool. That's the way I see it. Actually, there's a lot of tactics to it. We could get into this. Do we have time? Not really. But there's a lot of football tactics, though. The way you drop a shoulder and peel off your man to get in behind. They don't see it coming either. Little nudge in the back as well, especially in a swimming pool. You give someone a little nudge in the back in a swimming pool and make them sort of stumble over. You're away. You are in behind, clean through. And there's no offsides. So, did you see Anfield Agenda almost slipping out on stream? Yeah, I actually really don't like what happened to him, to be honest. Obviously, having had my own little mini cancellation problem before, I didn't like what happened because I genuinely don't think he's close to saying the word that people are accusing him of. He was talking about Anthony Taylor. Now, how I've been there on watch-alongs where I'm losing my head talking about Anthony Taylor. I just don't think that was what he was doing. And I get that a lot of people made the, and I don't like him, right? I truthfully I can't stand Anfield Agenda really as a creator, but I just think. Obviously, people made a joke out of it, and I get that. And it was funny. Obviously, it's funny. But actually, the consequences for him and what he would have been going through for the last couple of days, it's pretty. Yeah, it is. It's pretty grim. Yeah. Exactly, Ross. That's exactly how I feel, Ross. To be honest with you, Eddie Nketiah effect is killing Liverpool. Third loss. Yeah, I mean, look, Liverpool. I'm not surprised by what's happening with Liverpool. By the way, Isak has started 2 Premier League games and they've lost both of them. Now, I'm not saying that Isak is the problem, but Isak doesn't really press. Isak is a player that doesn't really press, but obviously offers you a huge amount going forwards. The issue they've got is that Mo Salah is the same. Their press is currently non-existent. I saw it against Chelsea, and I've seen clips of it. You can basically throw the ball over. If you're Rob Sanchez in goal, pick the ball up, invite Salah onto you, pick it up, throw it over his head. You've escaped the entire Liverpool press. I think it's a big problem for them. Isak didn't train properly. No, I know he's not trained properly, but I mean, is Victor Gyokeres getting that treatment or excuse? I know Gyokeres came back before Isak did, but I think they've got issues. However, those issues can be remedied. And if they find the solutions and suddenly they click and start playing well, they've got a huge number of difference makers in that squad. So I think anyone that starts ruling out Liverpool already, you're setting yourself up for potentially being very upset. And City are there. As long as City are picking up points, they're there. I don't think they can sustain it. You know, I look at that game against Brentford, that game against Brentford was pretty symptomatic of the games that they've had this season where They didn't play that well. They didn't create that many chances. And as long as it was 1-0, there was always an opportunity for Brentford to get back into it. And you look at that opportunity Thiago had going through 1-on-1 against Donnarumma. If he sorts his feet out, he scores it. All of a sudden, it's 1-0. They had the same in midweek against Monaco, right? They were the better team than Monaco. End up drawing the game. So, yeah, if they do that enough times this season, I think we should be fine. There's a long way to go. A long, long way to go. Liverpool's creativity came from Trent and Luis Diaz. So for Wirtz and Frimpong, so far Wirtz and Frimpong have done nothing, which is why I don't see Liverpool competing right now. Yeah, I don't disagree. Especially Trent. Trent was crucial to getting the ball forward for them. They're missing that sort of progression. For sure. Anyway, that is going to be the end of the stream, apart from the quiz question. So get your fingers on your keyboards for the quiz question. First person to get it right in the chat wins the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community. If you're on TikTok, by the way, as always, you can get into the YouTube stream where I actually read the chat. The link is in the bio for that. But the question is as follows. Which player moved from Arsenal to West Ham in 2018? Which player moved from Arsenal to West Ham in 2018? No one's got it yet. It's not Mavropanos. It's not Jack Wilshere. Bam, 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 boom, boom, boom. Yeah, Ross, I wondered what the hell you were doing, Ross, with Freddie Ljungberg. I was thinking, it's not Jack Wilshere. It's not Wilshere. It's not Mavropanos. No one has got it yet. There we go. Someone's got it. I can't believe how long that took. Maybe this is a good type of quiz question to do, because that's probably the longest we've had of any quiz question we've done. But the winner is, and congratulations to him, it's Joe the Bro. It was Lucas Perez. 4.4 million euros, I believe. Liam H came second. Third was Taylor. Fourth was Mattis. And fifth was Isaac Porter. There you go. Congratulations. It was indeed Lucas Perez. I'm happy with that one. Wilshere joined as a free agent on July 9th, 2018. Okay, so maybe I should have specified it wasn't a free transfer. Maybe I should have. But if he was a free agent, did he technically move from Arsenal to West Ham? I would argue not. I would argue he didn't. I would argue he didn't move from Arsenal to West Ham. I would argue he moved from unemployment to West Ham. So there you go. Lucas Perez was the answer. I am the quiz master. And Joe the Bro is the winner. So there you go. Congratulations to him. Anyway, that is going to be the end of the stream. I'll be completely honest with you. I don't know how frequent the streams are going to be this week and next week with the international break. Maybe we'll go live as much as we can. Just enjoy the conversations, see where they take us. Maybe we'll end up talking about playing water polo at Jazz Aquaviva. But look, if you could like, subscribe, hype down in the comments, all of that good stuff, I would appreciate it. And other than that, enjoy your Monday evenings, and I will catch you all on the next one. Until then, goodbye.